Developing a personality is as easy as winning a staring contest with a goldfish. It just takes a little focus and perseverance. Remember when you were a kid and your personality was a wild cocktail of Pokemon knowledge, impressive burping abilities, and an uncanny knack for finding four-leaf clovers? You were the life of every show and tell, the undisputed champion of the playground. But now, after years of being asked, "What are your hobbies?" by well-meaning but clueless relatives, you start to feel about as interesting as a beige wall. You begin to question if your only talent is binge-watching Netflix shows you've already seen twice. Don't worry though, this is just a temporary glitch in the matrix of your awesome self. But here's the thing, crafting a killer personality is actually way easier than those endless BuzzFeed quizzes and self-help gurus would have you believe. Their advice to just be yourself is basically extrovert propaganda, like telling a penguin to just fly. Sure, extroverts can charm a crowd with their natural charisma, but introverts might need a different playbook. So, you turn to Google, the all-knowing oracle of the internet, only to be bombarded with ads for personality tests that promise to reveal your hidden spirit animal and articles suggesting you take up underwater basket weaving. Seriously, who needs a soggy basket? Let's be real, those quirky kids from your past, the ones who always stood out, the playground prankster, the girl who wore mismatched socks with confidence, or even that one teacher who could make trigonometry sound fascinating. They all had one thing in common, a memorable thing, a something that made them stand out from the crowd. This doesn't mean you have to ditch your Netflix queue or become a professional unicyclist. It just means that those epic travel adventures, fascinating books, or pottery classes you've been accumulating aren't enough on their own. They're ingredients, but you need a recipe to turn them into a delicious personality dish. What you want is to be the person that leaves an impression, the one with intriguing stories and captivating conversations. And there's a simple way to do this. It's called the spike technique, and it's not just for high school students trying to snag a spot at Harvard. It's for anyone who wants to level up their personality game. So let's say you're obsessed with sneakers. I mean, really obsessed. You're not just someone who owns a couple of pairs. You know the history of every iconic design, you can identify a limited edition collab from a mile away, and you've even got a spreadsheet ranking your favorites. Don't judge. Now imagine you spend a chunk of your free time immersed in the sneaker world. You watch documentaries about sneaker culture, you follow sneakerheads on social media, you scour vintage shops for hidden gems, and you even start a podcast called Sneaker Talk, where you geek out with other enthusiasts. In less than a month, you'll have more sneaker knowledge than 99% of the population. You'll be the person your friends turn to when they need advice on the perfect pair for a first date, the most comfortable kicks for a long walk, or the history behind those classic Jordans they just scored. This might not sound like the most thrilling topic to everyone, but trust me, it's a conversation starter. So, what are you into? Oh, I'm obsessed with sneakers. Did you know the Air Jordan 1 was banned by the NBA because it didn't have enough white? Really? That's crazy. I never knew that. Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff. I actually just started a podcast about sneaker culture. Want to check it out? Before you know it, you're the sneaker expert in your circle. You're the one who gets invited to exclusive sneaker events, who gets early access to limited releases, and who can effortlessly strike up conversations with strangers who share your passion. Bonus points if you can identify a fellow sneakerhead by their footwear alone. It's about finding something you genuinely care about and letting that passion shine through. So, swap out sneakers for whatever floats your boat. It could be anything from vintage video games to obscure board games to the art of making the perfect cup of tea. The point is, whatever you become the expert in, you don't have to talk about it all the time. It just gives you a way to spark conversations, connect with others, and break free from the monotony of small talk. Who knows, you might even discover a hidden community of fellow enthusiasts who share your passion for, say, the history of paperclips or the intricacies of competitive cup stacking. Because let's face it, life's too short to be boring. So go ahead, embrace your inner sneakerhead, or whatever head, and let your personality shine. So, to recap, Find your jam. It doesn't matter if it's niche, weird, or completely off the beaten path. If it sparks your interest, it's fair game. Become a low-key expert. Become the person your friends text when they have a question about the best slime recipe or the evolution of the scrunchie. Share your knowledge, but don't be a bore. Instead of, "I like music," tell them about the time you met the lead singer of your favorite band at a local record store, and yes, you got an autograph. Profit. Okay, maybe not actual profit, but you get the idea. Your spike will make you memorable, spark interesting conversations, and open doors to new connections and experiences. Fun fact, college admissions officers are basically professional personality detectives. They're looking for students who have something unique to offer, something that sets them apart from the thousands of other applicants. They call it a spike, and it's often the deciding factor in who gets in and who doesn't. So, if you're applying to college, don't be afraid to showcase your passion for underwater basket weaving or your encyclopedic knowledge of vintage video game consoles. Pro tip: no matter how interesting your spike is, remember to communicate it in a way that other people can understand. If you start throwing around jargon and technical terms, you'll lose your audience faster than a politician in a debate. For example, let's say you've spent the last 6 months mastering the art of latte foam designs. That's awesome. But if you start rattling off the differences between a tulip and a rosetta, most people will glaze over faster than a Krispy Kreme donut. Instead, start by explaining the basics of latte art, what it is, why it's so popular, and maybe even a fun fact or two about its history. Remember, the goal is to share your passion in a way that's both informative and entertaining. So, channel your inner Bill Nye, but maybe with less bow ties, and make your spike as accessible and engaging as possible. And hey, if you found this advice helpful, consider hitting that subscribe button. It's a small gesture that makes a big difference, and it helps me keep creating content that's both informative and entertaining. Plus, who doesn't love a good subscribe button animation?